Hi there, Michaela here again with Michaela's Counseling. I just did a video about fawning as a way that some people deal with trauma and a way that they deal with unmet needs in childhood and a way that they deal with narcissistic kind of parenting. And it got me thinking about another piece that often goes along with this way that some people have learned to feel safe, and it ties in actually with another book. Another guy, Lawrence Heller, has a book called Healing Developmental Trauma. And he talks about actually these different kinds of strategies that people learn. And it's a little different from Pete Walker. So Pete Walker talks about fawning and really working to earn people's favor. And I think Lawrence talks about actually what's often the next step in that. And so I want to talk a little bit about if you've learned to please other people, if you learn to anticipate their needs, if you've learned to give them what they want, often, it almost goes without saying, but I'll say it, it's hard for you to know what you want. And it's hard for you to express that. And so Lawrence talks about autonomy survival style, and this fits really, really well with the style of learning to please others. So the way that it works is that you learn when you're little that you don't really have a voice, that you don't really have the right to say no. You don't feel authorized to express anger. And so what you end up doing is, yeah, you please other people and you learn to dial in exactly what other people want. The anger, it doesn't go away, it goes underground. And so what happens is you've got a part that knows how to please other people, and then you've got another part that is so mad, or is just like, often the way that it comes out is, oh, I just need space. I need some time to myself. I need all these people to quit making demands of me. So enter autonomy survival style, which is very interesting because what happens is that other people experience you as so in, whether it's in therapy or it's in a relationship or like even just clubs or volunteering or friendships. What happens is you start out with a big burst and you seem to be exactly what other people want or exactly what they're looking for. And then later, and it can seem without warning from other people, you're gone. You back off, you might say that you need to set boundaries and other people are thrown off. Very often people with this style just end up kind of putting up walls at some point in relationships when they're overwhelmed, or they start doing things that other people characterize as passive aggressive. Makes perfect sense because you've learned that you have to be kind of passive on the surface and you have to go with what other people want. But understandably, there's a part of you that wants to advocate for your own needs, has to advocate for your own needs. And so it comes out sideways. For some people, it comes out in maybe you're volunteering a ton for a committee and you're doing everything that you can. You're not actually getting a lot of thanks. You may not know this about yourself, but there may be a lot in how you project that kind of implies, I don't need your thanks. I don't need anything from you. I'm here to do this because I love it or whatever it is. So something happens that your needs aren't getting met or you're not able to set the boundaries that you want to set. And all of a sudden, on the day of like a big event that you've all been working for, you're ill. Or all of a sudden, you just go silent and people can't get in touch with you. Um, so it's a really difficult way to live, and it makes perfect sense because for people who've learned that they have to tell other people what they want to hear, getting in touch with your needs at some point is inevitable, and often that happens angrily. Often that happens kind of through a side door. And so it's another thing that sometimes people wind up with a lot of shame about is that they start out people pleasing, or maybe they give other people the answer they want to hear. You may or may not actually know what you want at that phase. This is not, in my eyes, deliberate lying. This is about like a learned pattern of response where you please people because it's like, it's what you've learned. It's like, when you learn to drive, you learn to automatically stop at red lights without thinking about it. And when you have the style where you have to please other people, it's automatic. And it's later that either you start to actually identify your own needs or maybe even your own anger. Either you identify it consciously and you have to go back and have these conversations with people, or more often when you really haven't had the chance to work through this yet, or you're not really aware of what's going on, all of a sudden things just kind of fall apart, or all of a sudden you're not available, or all of a sudden you might find yourself making kind of angry, sarcastic comments. We all have a drive towards both connection and towards our own space, connection and differentiation. And this is just a way that people learn to cope. And I want to tell you, these are really helpful maps for understanding what goes on. Often, when a client comes in with these styles, we're actually able to map out the sequence, and it's really, really helpful for them to understand what's going on. This stuff is resolvable. This stuff is really, really resolvable when you do work on actually identifying the different parts of yourself, and when you're able to actually learn early on to know your feelings and to know your needs and to really come into a way of being more authentic with people. And it feels so much better. And I'll say what I say in most every video about things like this. If this is what you've learned it for good reason. You've come by the style honestly. And so it's okay to really have compassion for yourself and to really start to notice how the sequence might play out in your life, and to also follow your desire for more authenticity and to learn how to do it differently. Thank you. I look forward all the time to any feedback that you have on my videos, or anything, any kind of click that happens inside when you listen to these, like, oh, now I know why I do that. Love hearing about that, and also really like hearing about it when there's something that you're kind of trying to puzzle out, or something that isn't quite clicking yet. Helps me to keep getting better with communicating about these things. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you in future videos.